Look at that little bruise that Rem Diz gave me during boxing, man. You even see it? Bruised up my big nose, fam. Fucking prick. Right, so I found something super inspirational the other day, yeah. I was scrolling through YouTube, as I allow myself to do sometimes, and I stumbled across the amateur fight between Dillian Whyte and Anthony Joshua. Now let me say that again, the amateur fight that they had. A lot of people don't know about this, but essentially before the big rivalry fight that they had happen in 2015, was it? They met in the amateurs in 2009, but I'd never actually stumbled across this fight. I'd heard about it and I heard Dillian Whyte won, but when I watched this fight I found it truly fucking inspirational, because this fight happened in a pub in front of 50 to 100 people. And do you want to know something else? Anthony Joshua was not very good. Dillian Whyte even managed to drop him in the fight. But what I really want to draw from this is Anthony Joshua had his first taste of defeat. Maybe, I don't know, he might have had defeat before this, but Anthony Joshua had a big taste of defeat in front of 50 to 100 people in a pub in North London. Now after this event, he could have decided boxing wasn't for me, and he could have went and settled for less and got something like a fucking office job and decided that his dreams weren't possible. Imagine if you told Joshua during this moment when he was on the floor that in 3 years he would be competing in the Olympics. He wouldn't believe you. He was probably filled with doubts in this moment, but somehow he picked himself back up and he went on to defeat Dillian Whyte in 2015. Now what I really want to make clear in this video is the idea that maybe this is just something that happens in my mind, but I used to think that like Eminem could just always rap the way that he raps, which is completely not true, because if you go back and find his music from, let's say, 1990 when he started rapping, 1989, 1990 when he started rapping, it was fucking terrible. If anything, I was better than Eminem when I started. And many people don't realise, but before he got co-signed by Dr. Dre, Eminem's first album completely flopped in 1996. It was called Infinite, and he put all his eggs into this basket, and I believe that he hit some kind of depression after this, because obviously he felt that he was good enough at this point, but the world didn't see it. But Dr. Dre did see it, and in a space of a year or two, he went from an unknown rapper that people would take the piss out of because he was like this corny white rapper, as they used to say, by possibly one of the most famous rappers on the planet by like 1998, 1999. Let's say 8 Mile was when he was world famous, right? There was 6 years, and that's the exact same time that it took for Anthony Joshua to get beaten by Dillian Whyte in the amateurs to go on to defeat him in the O2 Arena in front of 20,000 people. They went from 50 to 100 people in a pub to 20,000 people in the O2 Arena. And then he went on to sell on, I'm sure he sold out Wembley when he fought Joseph Parker. I'm sure he sold out Wembley a few times. I really want to push this in, the idea that your setbacks are slingshots, if you let them be. When I first got to All Powers Gym, which is the first mixed martial arts gym that I walked into in Stockport, Brendan Loughnane was coming off a very close decision that a lot of people think that he won against Tom Duquesnoy in Bama, which was a big thing for him at the time. This was in 2016, we're now in 2023, and Brendan Loughnane has just won the PFL Championship for £1 million and secured his future. I'm gonna be a millionaire, lad! But the close decision against Tom Duquesnoy in Bama was not the only setback that he had. He actually got onto Tuesday Night Contender, which is the UFC's kind of stepping stone into a contract with the UFC, and he won his fight, and Dana White went ahead and said that they would not sign him because he went for a takedown within the last 10 seconds, which I still think is crazy.
I think that this kid is talented, I think he's got a ton of heart, and I think he's eventually going to be in the UFC, just not tonight.
Imagine if Dana White's very strange decision at the time affected Brendan negatively to the point where he decided to pack it in and realised that he was probably on the decline in his career. He never would have went on to win the PFL. He even lost in the semi-final the year before in the PFL. So Brendan Loughnane has had multiple setbacks. But just like Anthony Joshua, just like Dillian Whyte, they all grew in the endeavour that they were chasing towards. They wasn't in a stuck position. And the one thing that they all have in common is they had a growth mindset. They believed in himself. I just lost a fight against a really fucking tough lad called Charles Price in King of the Ring. Now this was a bitter pill for me to swallow, and you know, I was probably upset. I wasn't actually upset very long because I feel like I've got the mindset. I feel like my mindset's quite strong. Do you know who also has a strong mindset? Lewis McGrillen. I've watched Lewis McGrillen go from a 15-year-old who completely believed himself and just like mauled anyone that he sparred against.
All these prospects coming up. I think there's one there in Manchester now. I can't remember him. He's like a little ginger kid. He's got an indestructible mentality, and so I like to watch them and I like to learn from them. You're never too good to learn. Always remember that.
To just see him grow and grow and grow through amateurs. I mean, he had his own loss. He had a rear naked choke loss, which I'm sure put some demons in his mind for a short while. But he continued to grow. His setbacks were his slingshots, and he's filled up the Wythenshawe Forum about 3 times, I believe. Don't hold me to that. I hope you guys can draw inspiration from this in whatever endeavour you're doing. Eminem once couldn't rap. Anthony Joshua at one point was getting dropped in front of 50 people in a pub. Believing in yourself can take you a long, long way. So keep that fucking mindset. And if you like the video, like the ting, baddie bar, subscribe and all that shit. Oh, that one actually fucking hurt.